Hi, this is Tim Cashel from the Evolve Academy, and today I'm here with Vincent Ayala from Barco, and today we're going to go over the features of the 7.1 release for Event Master Toolset. So Vince,
Yes,
first of all, any new hardware features being released with this?
no new hardware features with this. It's all software.
Okay, so no cards or no chassis?
Nope.
Okay, great. One of the first features on the list is the front panel. Some
Yes.
things have been added to the front panel menu. What are those?
So for the front panel menu, we've added the new web app lock feature,
Okay.
where on the front panel of the E2, you can walk up and actually disable the web app.
So the web app that runs inside the E2.
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct. The one that serves, that you can log into using Event Master Toolset, or that you can log into using a standard web browser.
Okay.
So if we take a look at that under the settings, you'll notice the web app is locked. See how it says web app locked?
Right.
So you can't access any of the functionality that's inside of the web app, like, I don't know, presets.
You can't run
firmware.
diagnostics. You
Yeah.
can't do backup restore.
Exactly. You can't do backup restore. You can't do firmware updates. You cannot do any of the stuff that you would normally find in the web app.
Okay, but you can still do backup restore from the front panel using the USB stick.
Absolutely. Yes,
Okay,
sir. Yeah.
Great. Another feature is the import-export PNG on the front.
Totally. And just like the feature kind of sounds, you can import-export the PNG from the front panel using the little FAT32 formatted flash drive.
Okay, so you don't have to use it through the toolset. You can do it directly
Correct.
into the machine.
Yep.
Another feature that's coming out is going to be on the config page, the classic simulator. What does that mean?
So we're actually updating the classic simulator, the one that comes with the Event Master download package, to boot into the E2 Gen 2, as opposed to the original E2 that the original classic simulator came with. So if we take a look inside of our system here, I've already launched the sim. So we'll go into our little sim tab, and here you can see the E2 Gen 2.
So this card layout is what is now the default set when you fire up the simulator.
That is correct.
Okay,
Yep.
so it's bringing us up to date on the simulator.
Exactly.
Now, what if someone wanted to change, revert back to an old E1 or Gen 1 card set, or even
E1.
change chassis to like an S3? Can they do that?
Absolutely. You can do that through the XML. There's a total, actual system on how to do that, which we teach you in the classes.
All right.
Right. And so you can come to our either operator or specialist class.
Or it sounds like a great topic for a video.
Maybe another video.
Okay, great. So another feature is the multi-select I/O toggle.
Yep.
Right. How does that work?
So remember on the in the original Event Master toolset, you could select one or many physical inputs or outputs.
Yeah, it just kept highlighting connectors as you were selecting.
Exactly. It was like a stacking feature, right? So as we select them, kind of stacks up. Well, with this inside of the settings, if we toggle this little setting right here, multi-select in-out connector, and we go back to our configuration, instead of stacking, it just replaces. So it deselects as you select a new one.
Okay, so that may be better for novice operators instead of having multiple connectors and accidentally creating an input with multiple connectors.
Exactly.
You can just do one at a time.
Yeah, but we still have the toggle for the original operators. Maybe the more experienced people who are used to the way the system is.
Or if you need to create multiple connector inputs or backgrounds.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, great. Another feature on the list, this is one I'm really excited about because this is a feature that was asked for in the early days of E2, and that is multi-operator.
Yeah, multi-operator. It is our biggest feature for 7.1. So if we take a look at the configuration button here in the top, here we have the fourth tab. That's the multi-operator tab. If we select that, we have our multi-operator options. Now we can create these multi-operator profiles. We can actually create 3 profiles as of now, where you enable or disable an operator. If you enable it, when you connect to the machine, it'll ask you which operator you want to be. If you want to be the super, or if you want to be 1 or 2 or 3, depending on how many you have enabled. That operator can then operate either a preset range. Right now it's kind of set to all. Basically by default it's set to 1 through 1,000. Or you could set it to 1 to 50 for operator 1, 51 through 100 for operator 2, so on and so forth. Each one of those operators can then do a screen destination or super dest or aux and a super aux.
Yeah, so to bring this into a real world scenario, let's say you're doing a show where you have a general session which takes up 2 halves of a ballroom, and then at lunch they're going to bring the air wall down the middle,
Right.
and then have 2 separate breakout rooms.
Totally.
So let's say you have everything run through the same E2 for the general session. Now I can have 2 operators, one in room A and one in room B, and they have different control over those individual screens without messing each other up.
Yeah.
And they also have different ranges of presets that they can control without, again, writing over each other's presets.
Totally. So let's say in this instance, we had operator 1 in the A side, operator 2 in the B side. And we said operators A range, right? They would work within their range, and then if they ever created a new preset, it would then stick within their range, right? And so if they had a new preset that was maybe like preset 26, right? They would start within that realm of their presets.
So it only adds or overwrites within their designated range.
Exactly. So you cannot mess each other up.
Okay.
We've taken steps to try to ensure that you cannot mess each other up, and the 2 presets can fire off kind of pretty much simultaneously or really close to each other at least.
Okay, I noticed that if someone does mess up, you do have a button for that.
Yeah, that's the fire the operator button.
Yeah.
we can disable that specific operator.
Yeah, we're taking your access away.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So continuing down the list, we're coming to the Multiviewer features for 7.1. So what can you talk about there? Something new in perhaps in layouts?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got a couple new things. This first one actually pertains to both card types, both HDMI 1.4 multi-views as well as the HDMI 2.0 multi-view. So it's layouts. We have these pre-canned, kind of pre-designed layouts, and better off just to show you kind of how it works.
So before we had the ability to put anything we wanted anywhere, and now people want to have some pre-defined looks.
Yeah, to be honest with you, we still have the ability to put anything anywhere and to custom design your own multi-view, which I really like. But then we've had a couple of requests for pre-canned stuff like the old FSN days, and where we can just build.
But we didn't let you do anything custom.
Yeah, exactly. So if we take a look in the multi-view here, we go to let's say multi-view number 1, and we'll go to this little multi-viewer templates over here on the bottom right, and we selected multi-view number 1, and as we scroll over them, it'll give us a preview of these new templates.
Wow.
And we could just select one, let's say 2x2x9, and it'll pre-populate.
Okay, and then you just drop your resources into wherever you want.
Yeah, simply drag and drop your resources in. Maybe I don't want to use that. I want to use maybe I don't want to use input. I'll use a destination. So I'll go like program preview, right?
Okay. Now, are these layouts, as far as the individual window is concerned, can you resize them individually now that you've got the layout?
Absolutely.
So you can use the layout as a starting point and then do some customization.
Totally can. Now remember that works on both cards, the HDMI 1.4. HDMI 1.4 alpha and the HDMI 2.0 multiviewer cards.
So either card in the multiviewer slot, you have the access to the layouts.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So if you have the HDMI 2.0 card specifically in the slot, are there some new things that are going to be coming with that?
Certainly. So previously we had, basically we could only do 2 instances of every resource.
Correct.
We do 2 inputs. We could do 2 previews, 2 programs. Well, now we can do 4. So we can actually have 4 of everything. So you can essentially put 1 instance on every multi-view now.
Which makes sense, because now if you have the ability to do 4 discrete multiviewers, why not have the ability to put 4 things on them?
Exactly.
Or the same thing.
Right. Now, scaling is still tied together. So if you scale one and it'll actually affect the scale of the others.
Right.
To an extent, there's actually a new feature that I want to show you today that kind of mitigates that or kind of subverts that, and that is 100% or 50% scaling. Let me show you. The best way to do that is show you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multi-select everything, and I'm going to clear it all out, right? Just so we have a nice, fresh multi-view. Alternatively, I could have just made a different layout, but I'll just stick with layout number 1. So let's go to input number 1. We'll select it, we'll drag it in, we'll bring it in. So then we'll go to the adjust window, and you'll see this window size, 50 or 100%. So if I brought in the same one of my 2 right? Or one of my 4, I should say. One of my 4, or 2 of my 4 now are live populated.
2 instances.
Yeah, 2 instances of my 4 available.
All right.
And I said, you know what? If I scale one, it's going to automatically scale the other. Nothing new there.
Right.
We're kind of used to that. Well, I can select this one and do a 50%. So it's actually 50% of the 100%, because this original one is at 100% scale. So if I scale this one up, it will scale the secondary one up
Proportionally,
50%.
So this is nice because let's say a lot of times you want to have a multiviewer that has the cameras on it.
Yep.
Larger for the director, but smaller for yourself.
Yes.
So now you have the option of 2 sizes. Even though they do scale together, you have 2 size options.
You have 2 size options. That's correct.
Okay. That's a big improvement.
That's a pretty cool feature. You know, it's now, admittedly, it's not independent scaling of every window,
Right.
but it's a start.
Right. This gives you some options.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Finally, reentry.
Oh yeah, multi-view reentry.
Right.
This is a kind of one of those long-awaited ones that people have been asking for. So this one steps us back into the programming page. So now we can take a multi-view, if it's been created, we can take a multi-view as a source. And we could potentially send it to a layer. We could send it to an aux. So now you can have basically a physical output coming out of your box, out of maybe a master E2, right? And send your multi-view out of that aux, right? Or make that an aux and send your multi-view out of that aux.
All right.
It also binds together inside of the global links, or it could potentially utilize a global link. So you could take the multi-view from, say, your master box and send it to any one of your slave boxes as well, because it's just an internally reinserted source. Right?
So in other words, you could gang your multiviewers, send them all to the last box, and on the last multiviewer, you could have all your multiviewers. As getting as crazy as that sounds,
yeah,
you could have all your multiviewers in one place on the last output.
Yeah, sure. That's one use case. Absolutely.
That's one use case.
Sure.
Would those be something usable where, let's say, you take your multiviewer output, run it back in, and then put a key layer like a clock on top of it for a downstage monitor or some other source, and route it to your destination if you have that for downstage monitors?
Yep. But this time around, it's internally reinserted as opposed to
having to physically run a cable.
Exactly.
Oh,
and
also
so you're not.
DAs it.
It does, and you're not using it. DAs it across the entire system,
Right.
not just the box, and DAs it across the entire system. And then it also doesn't utilize one of your precious 32 or however many inputs you have on your system, right?
Right. It's not taking up a physical input anymore. Great. So moving down the features, moving to the programming page now, you have some pretty cool things happening there with the programming tab.
For sure.
We're talking about backups for your inputs and your backgrounds.
Yes, we support backups now, live backups, and it's fantastic. It's so great that it gets its own video.
It's going to get its own video, but give us a tease as to what it is.
So if we take a look at our input tab under the programming page, we have this little blue button, or this little blue caret, that we've always seen before. Those are our sources, right? Those are our sources. But if we take a look over here at our right-hand side,
there's nothing new there.
Yep, we have some more like a little double caret action, little double carets. So if we select those, it'll basically let us assign which backup or which source we want to use as a backup for that input.
So this is looking really exciting. I think I know where this is going.
Yep, that's right. But again, we're going to talk about that later in that other video, which we'll link in the description, right?
Right. So I think the main thing here is you can assign a different input source. So if you lose your input, it'll automatically go to whatever you've assigned as the backup input source.
Absolutely. There are a couple more rules to make it a little bit smoother or alter some stuff, but
that's the basic idea.
Yeah, basic idea.
So you won't have to rewrite all your presets. The backup will automatically take the place of the main in all your presets without any intervention.
That's correct. Yeah.
That is a beautiful feature, a wonderful feature. More about that coming in a video on its own. So moving down the list again, going to the queues page, startup queue.
Startup queue. So we've essentially created a startup queue. You can assign a queue as a startup queue when you start up the E2 or your S3 or your whatever you got. It'll actually fire off an initial queue. So if you come in first thing in the morning for a show, you turn it on, and you want to take something to screen automatically, we can do that for you. Or if you're in a
trade
show or a permanent install environment, and maybe on reconnection of power, you want it to start up the same thing every time, or it's playing a loop. We just want to.
So it's a startup key that you can have play every time the box powers up.
Absolutely. Yep.
Great. On the controller page now, we've got some stuff. You want to show us backgrounds as source?
Yeah, let's take a look at the controller page. So the background as source, if we're looking at, if we're just reading off our what's new file, the background as source is actually more of a filing system. Before, all of the sources, whether they were backgrounds, destinations, stills, they all just populated in this list.
Right.
Well, now we've kind of
give them their own tab.
Yeah, we've given them their own tab so that you could differentiate easily which one is which. Okay. So now if we had a background hooked up, maybe let's take a look at our destinations. We have our destinations, which are still a source, and they're in succession from the inputs, but they just get their own little designation. Right?
So it's more in line with what you see when you have the configuration page. You're looking at the input tab.
Yeah,
it's very similar now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
And how about renaming sources?
Oh, we can rename sources straight from the controller page now, instead of having to go back into the configuration page. Wow. So you can essentially drag and drop let's do it, right? So let's do a source. We'll take a source, we'll drag and drop it in here, and then we can rename it to GFX1. Right.
And that changes its input name in the system as well? As if you were doing it on the main configuration page? Or
no, that just changes the source.
For the controller?
That just changes the source on the programming page as well. It does not change the actual input name. Okay. So remember the difference between inputs and sources. Here's where it becomes more and more evident.
Okay.
We also teach that in the training classes.
Right. Okay. And now the Flex Bus.
All right. Well, the Flex Bus is a new one that people have been asking for. So if we click through to the Flex, you can actually put anything you want on there. So we can.
So it's a bus that you can put any destination, program, preview, source, background,
user key, preset, pretty much anything you can think of, you can throw on this Flex Bus. It's like it implies, it's flexible, and it'll accept anything you want. So you can do, like I said, you could do user keys, sources, and so on and so forth.
Okay. So just more power to the assignment bus.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, so new thing is production switcher workflow.
Yes.
How does that work?
So production switcher workflow allows us to use our controllers very similar to the way an old school video production switcher works. I don't want to say old school, even the new school ones, they all work the same.
They all
right?
kind of do the same thing?
Yeah, they all kind of do the same thing. Well, we now allow you to kind of modify the controller to emulate that functionality.
So by that you mean you're going to allow the controller to have a preview and a program bus that toggles back and forth and flip-flops like a production switcher does.
Yeah. You know how when you have a traditional TV production guy walk up and he sees the assign row and he goes, okay, where's the preview and program?
The preview bus?
Right, where's the preview bus? Well, we've now built that into the assignment bus here.
So how do you set it up?
All right, so best way to look at this is on a EC30, because there's only 2 assigned buses. And so what we're going to do is we're going to slip into the EC30 on the simulator here, and we're going to toggle these through to.
So this is a new feature in the assign bus.
That's right. To program and preview source.
Okay.
Then we'll take our sources and we'll just drop it right in, and you'll see it.
It's populating both the program and preview sides.
Exactly. Because let's say the bottom one here is the preview, the top one is the program. So it's going to assign both.
So it's more like a cross point.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. All right, so if we were to say select destination 1, layer 1, and send graphics 1, if we take to preview, we take a look at our program, here it is in preview.
Correct.
Right, and then we can transition it to program, either with the T-bar or with the all trans.
Right.
And you'll notice that once it transitioned, it didn't do the automatic toggle like a video switcher does.
Correct.
It still keeps that functionality.
Right.
Now you could easily turn on the layer and hit the toggle button to give it to
do
make
the true
it even,
flip-flop.
to do the true flip-flop. So let's see that again. So we'll go into the controller, and I'll say destination 1, layer 1, preview. Let's rack up camera 2. So if we go back into the programming, there's camera 2 sitting in our preview, and then we'll all trans, and you'll notice that it does the true flip-flop. And then if we had our T-bar here, we could just T-bar back and forth, or we can hit all trans. Now, once it's once it's live on program, once the layer is live on program, we can go back into our controller and potentially, like say, line cut on our program bus.
Now I noticed that you have not enabled the unlock.
Correct.
So, or the live. This is as switching on the program bus without having to go and take the extra step of enabling those features or disabling those features.
Exactly, just like a video switcher, right?
Right.
So it will bypass the lock functionality if you do start recalling from the program source bus.
Okay.
Because we assume that you know what you're doing,
right,
and that you know that you want to.
You want it on program. Yeah, you set it up that way.
Exactly.
Here you go.
Exactly.
Okay, great. So just a couple rounding out this section here, miscellaneous features.
Yeah.
JSON, anything new there?
Yeah, we've added a couple new JSON commands. Any of those users that use the JSON commands, we recommend that you go and look for the what's new file and check out the new commands, or check out the user manual here pretty soon. It's going to get updated here pretty soon.
Okay. Anything new with the Image Pro 4K?
Yeah, you can actually apply user keys from the front panel now. So it's starting to look a bit more like a controller interface as opposed to a rigid, interface.
Okay. I know one of the features, or not one of the features, but one of the things that used to be kind of troublesome was if you were on the wide tab and you were in advanced mode and you went back to basic for some reason, everything you did in wide tab was wiped out. Has anything been done to address that?
Yes, actually it has. And so what I have here is a VentMaster toolset open, and I want to show you the difference between, or the jump back and forth between basic and expert mode. So like you said before, when we go back to basic mode, it would completely clear everything out. Now we threw this real awesome warning and confirmation, right? So it just tells us any user adjustments made in expert mode will be reset if the mode is changed to basic. We can either hit OK to accept the changes, or
so if you accidentally hit basic by mistake, you weren't going back and starting from scratch.
Exactly. We had a lot of users do that, including myself, many times. And so it became, quite apparent that we needed to add a gate here.
Okay. And where should people go to find out the complete feature list of 7.1?
Well, like every release, we release this What's New file that gets downloaded, or you can pull it off the FTP or even the website.
You want to check the download package when you unzip it.
Absolutely. And we even take it one step further and prompt you to read it after you've downloaded it, after you've installed the VentMaster toolset. And what we really recommend is that all users go and check out this What's New file every time we do a software release, not just this specific 7.1. Although there are other features that didn't quite make it into this video that are listed in that What's New file. So we definitely want people to read that What's New file.
Okay.
Because not only does it, and I'm going to take it one step further, not only does it show what's the new features, it also shows some of the bugs that we fixed, the functionality, user functionality that has been corrected, or it also shows all of the previous versions. So
it's a bit of a history lesson, looking back into the VentMaster product. You can see everything from before release 1 to all the current releases.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you, Vincent, for going over the features of 7.1 today with us.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And thank you. I'm Tim Cashel with the Evolve Academy. Hope you enjoyed this video, and have a great day.